But today was bad. Light work, people. Light work. Seems we're soft all over the pitch. Yo, people. Welcome to the REDFELLAS podcast, YouTube show. Call it what you want, man. As long as you're viewing it, that's the main thing. We asked for Liverpool to keep the fire burning, the flame of eternal hope flickering, and we had to go to Crystal Palace and win, and we did. We won 3-1. The scoreline suggests a lovely day down South London. Big up South London, of course, even though I'm from East. Always respect the South. But big up South London. We're going to dissect it all. We're going to try to take it all in. Luckily, we've had a few hours this time, because of the 2 p.m. kickoff. So we've had a few hours to digest it, and we're not going to be as maybe emotionally reactionary as we have been in the past. But listen, welcome to everyone in the chat. Peoples, like on your way in, or maybe don't like on your way in. If you like what we say, then like on your way out. Whatever, man, just like the stream. You get the drift. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Even if I'm not worth it, these guys definitely are. Mr. REDFELLAS, peoples, what's going on? Conroy, how are you, my man?
No, good, Grizz. Great result today. I know we'll get into it, but yeah, as I say, I think last night we were going to do a preview, but I think you were doing about maybe 50 shows yesterday trying to break the record. So.
had to have a break, man.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's good. Mr. Ivan, soccer god. I'm going to piss you off by calling you Ivan until I can get away with it before you lose it with me, and then I'm going to stop. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. From the American side of things, it's always nice not to have your entire weekend ruined at Saturday 6 a.m. So, feels good.
100%. And, I've got a feeling like, Keith, even when we don't win, like your weekend ain't ruined. I've just got this feeling. So what's happening?
My weekends are popping, man, always. Now, they've been a bit quiet due to dry January.
Are you still?
Yeah, are we still there? 23 days now, is it? Yeah, 23 days, no goose. So yeah, it's going swimmingly. I'm gonna get to the 31st, no problem at all. But this week's been the best week of my life as a football fan, period. Honestly, going to the Emirates, getting the result, sitting with the Arsenal fans, watching my two mates walk out of the Emirates Stadium as I sat and lounged and listened to the Liverpool fans sing their hearts out. It was by far the best experience ever. And to top it all off with a win today, Mr. Top Red is flying.
Yeah, I knew you would be. Just to give this guy the clout and recognition he wants, because he's typed it in capital letters and he's typed it about 4 times in the chat already. Grizz, the professional football fan that nobody in Liverpool asked to represent them. Lol. Like, I'm not a professional football fan. What the fuck's a professional football fan, you div? Secondly, I'm not representing no one. Like, why have you typed that in capital letters? And like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking block your ass because you're. Anyway, we move on. There you go. The first dickhead out the way of the night. People. Crystal Palace. We went to Crystal Palace after a couple of good wins, moral boosting wins against Arsenal, of course, in the Little Woods, Rumbelows, Carabao, whatever you want to call it.
Carling.
I'm
Carling's the best.
I'm gonna start Carling. I thought we sort of put away Brentford fairly comfortably, and then this week we got the glimmer of hope that we possibly needed, where City actually dropped some fucking points. And then Conroy, all attention was turned to us, and we had to just go turn up at Crystal Palace and get the 3 points. How did you feel going into the game? And generally, how did you feel afterwards, without obviously going into the game?
Going into the details, yeah, because that we can't go too early again, because we've got better at that, at being chronological about this. We definitely have got better. But before it, Grizz, kind of felt after last season, I feel better about this fixture. And I know it's ironic, guys, because unlike the Emirates, we've actually beat Palace quite often. I know there's this kind of narrative that our bully team bogey team, but really we've done quite well. It usually just tends to be, it's never a plain sailing affair. Like last season's usually an anomaly. There's always a bit of either controversy or you're conceding goals here and there. If it's not Benteke, I think Sam Allardyce, they beat us 2-1 at Anfield. So there's been numerous kind of occasions in drama in these fixtures. So last season actually gave me a bit more confidence in going against a Palace that we could get a comfortable result there. On top of that, I know Evan's going to get into Vieira and the style of football, but they may try and come out and play slightly more like the game at Anfield where there is more space. You can't always bank on that in these fixtures because Vieira has shown he's versatile as well to adapt into different game plans. But I felt okay going into it. I did feel like we would get the win, Grizz. Unlike other fixtures for me, I usually have like the Emirates the other week. I was like, we're definitely going to pens. But I felt okay going into it. And after it, I know we'll get into that more. To be perfectly honest, it was much, much trickier than I would hoped. And getting over the line, I think it was a massive win. But I know we're going to get into the details.
Evan, like it's mad because that's 10 goals we've scored in our last 2 visits to Palace. Obviously, last season was a 7-0 before we went on a fucking mad downward turn in form and injuries, etc., etc. It was never going to be 7-0, I thought, this time round for a couple of reasons. A, because of our absentees at the AFCON, certain Mo Salah, Mane, Naby, and then obviously Thiago as well. And B, I just thought Palace under Vieira seemed to be a different animal this season. So yeah, just going into that, even though we've managed to come out there with 6 points out of our last 2, 10 goals and 1 goal conceded, 10 goals for, 1 goal conceded, today's game had a different vibe to it from the start, I felt.
Yeah, I think the whole Palace being our bogey team sort of reputation, it can be stemmed back to almost 2 games exactly. One being Istanbul, obviously all those years ago, and then the next being they were the last team to have beaten us at Anfield, and that record stood for 3 years, was it? Almost 3-4 years. So it's 2 fixtures in the grand scheme of almost 10 years that I think people are somewhat scarred from. But in generally speaking, like you guys have said, we haven't really struggled against Crystal Palace since reaching the summit of football under Klopp. So this did have a different feeling to it. Palace are a reinvented team under Vieira. They are performing a more attractive brand of football, if you will. Definitely. Sure. And it's interesting because a lot of the players that he's building his core around, these were Hodgson regulars, you know what I mean? So the capacity for Palace to play this brand of football has always been there. But obviously with Hodgson, you get a different type of survival tactic. I just think it's great what Vieira is doing. I think the bigger picture implications of having a successful black manager in the Premier League, that's great for the optics and the managerial opportunities that will hopefully be more often extended to people of color. So that's a wonderful positive note just on the season as a whole.
That's a brilliant point you make, and I'm glad you raised that. And to be fair to you, all the flowers go to you because you did point that out and you wanted to raise that. So big up yourself and big up Vieira being the black representative and doing a grand job of it, considering, Keith, all the disaster sort of state of their contracts. Do you remember in the season, like so many players out and sort of they've been so used to some drab version of Roy Hodgson football. I knew obviously it would be hard for us, but then again, I didn't think it was going to be as easy as it was as well in that opening half an hour for us. Just give me an overall feeling of how that opening half went for you. Great start, Keith. Great fucking start. This is fucking record.
But people must think we do not mean that. I swear, this is not. Look at us.
Scan the chat. Did anybody get it? Let's scan the chat. Did anybody
get
it?
Man.
No, what were we on?
We're not even double digits. It's 9 minutes. We're not even
9 minutes. Wow, that was a record. Sorry, man. I'm a bit rusty. I've been on it a while. That first 10-15 minutes, I thought the game was going to be 7-0. Like word to the wise, we absolutely dominated them. We did something to Palace in those first 35 minutes that we did to Arsenal over the entire 90 minutes, where it was just that we imposed ourselves to such that when the opposition got the ball, they didn't have the belief that they could pull something off or win that second ball. I thought just the general structure of the team was brilliant. And it's interesting with Palace because they actually did adopt one of their more conventional methods of playing football today. Yeah, and Roy Hodgson would be proud because they went direct. They went direct from the first whistle, and they went for that ball 100 times within that first 35 minutes and lost the ball probably every time. And the biggest compliment I can give to them is that they stuck to this task, and players that were not anonymous in the first 35 minutes came to light. But we're going to specifically talk about this period of time. Liverpool were relentless. And it's really interesting seeing this, again, evolution within a season with players that were completely written off before Mane and Salah before they even boarded the plane. These players were already written off, have come and built something over the last 4 games, which has been really, really, what I find quite aggressive, but B, most importantly, the interchange between them with the ball at their feet. They're actually, like, the goal against Arsenal doesn't get spoken about enough. I remember seeing it right in front of me, Joel Matip make that initial pass to Firmino, and I thought, man made that pass from there. All of a sudden, Firmino's coming in. Everybody's joining in with the play, and that first 15 minutes, you saw it play out. It was really interesting to watch, and I'm really happy more than anything that Klopp said what he said, which was, I will find football solutions, and I saw football solutions all over the pitch for that first 35 minutes.
I just want to get this out of the way. We are on a Liverpool channel celebrating a tremendous, vital victory. Our main man, Mr. Blue Chip, decides to message about Luis Diaz in Porto versus Famalicão in the Portuguese decision.
He's not watching the show, Grez. He's not watching the show. He's actually, this is at the side.
So, I don't know what to say, but people, he's in the chat. Deal with him. I just want to read out a couple of super chats because they're a bit scrambled today. I thought there might be the first one's very nice and easy. Aaron, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be, to you as well, my brother.
You're well, Aaron.
Ronaldinho, maybe we can very quickly answer it because it will ruin the flow of the chat. Who you think our best front three are? Mane, Firmino, Salah for me. I'll let Evan answer that very quickly, and you can speak for all of us. I'll allow it.
Mane, Jota, Salah these days.
There you go. When Evan speaks for everyone. Selection, our brother from out in USA. Avi says he's his mate, but we have no confirmation again.
No confirmation at all.
No confirmation.
Unconfirmed.
Every one of these is unconfirmed. This is on.
No, the only person we know is Evan knows Avi. Because they're the only two people in USA that we know each other because they speak. Apart from that, no confirmation. Needs to be said, club needs to bring in technical players for the midfield. Thiago seems to be the only technical player in midfield. We will go on and touch upon that selection, absolutely. After today's match, FSG or the real pagan says, after today's match, it pains to me say Bobby and Hendo need to be squad players and need proper quality replacements to challenge City. We'll talk about that as well. And our friend who, Avi, had an absolute uncalled for attack last week. Dinesh, thankfully, is back in the chat and is still supportive of the channel. Everyone grizz and everyone happy today Liverpool win. Everyone saying we'll drop off in January. Now looking forward to, after 2 years, we will have a fully strength team after the winter break. We sure will, my brother. We sure will. Conroy, I was going to come to you because Keith mentioned Matip. And Matip was one of the selections that may have surprised some people because we were trying to work out if he was injured against Arsenal when he went off or if it was a tactical decision. It seems now that it was a tactical decision. I thought Matip had a horrible 45. Keith, I don't know if you agree because we were both at the game at the Arsenal. I thought he had a horrible 45 minutes. So when he gets selected in this game, was you slightly surprised? And the rest of the team, Ox makes not a miraculous recovery, but for Ox standards, it's a fucking miraculous recovery that he's back in 3-4 days. Do you know what I mean? So and the rest of the lineup, are you okay with it? The rest of it picks itself. Those two, did you expect anything different?
Yeah, see, on the Joel thing, I think as far as we're aware, it was tactical, but I've got to be honest, I think we'd all agree. He did look like he was playing injured, though. Would you agree in the party? There definitely looks like he had something wrong. I don't know. It didn't all seem to confidence or he was playing poorly. It did seem he had something up, but if that wasn't the case, I would say, because it's only one game, I wouldn't be surprised because Joel's been superb this season. But in fairness to that fellow red fella, Avi tweeted earlier, it might be, I know we'll get into that, but from now on, it's getting to that stage now where we need to maybe spread his games a little bit now, because we're even surprised he's got to this long without this maybe being, we have to look at rotation more. However, I understand why he'd start him, because he's been so good all season. One poor game doesn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So I understand it. And do you know what, though? The thing is, that's the great thing about our choices. I would be confident if Konate played today. To be honest, after a few more games, you'd even be confident if Joe Gomez can get back to his form, he could come in as well. So because of that depth in centre-back, I was confident. However, Matip has got credit in the bank this season, so I wasn't too surprised when he started.
Shout out to Nebits, man. Met the brother. Nice to see you, bro, as well. Never second half. Nice seeing at the game, Grizz. Most certainly.
Nebits is brilliant. Coppish Colin, he's always on there, brilliant. The
feelings mutual, brother. The feelings mutual. I met a few people out there, so it was good fun today. This is topical, so I'm going to bring it up now, Evan. El Drago. The first 35 minutes was so good. A copy of the Brighton game at Anfield when we decided to stop playing. Conroy, I thought that opening 35 minutes from where I was sitting was a continuation of the pressing and energy we showed against Arsenal pretty much throughout, and especially in terms of the pressing from Henderson, Fabinho, and Curtis. I thought our midfield three were operating at an elite level for that opening 35 minutes. It results in, obviously, a set piece after all that. It results in a set piece from the main man himself, the big dog of the big dogs, Virgil van Dijk, with one of your recently favored. You've been converted into outswinging set pieces, right? Outswinging corners, right? You touched upon it. So just two things I've asked you there, basically, if you're probably getting confused, where's Grizz going with this? It was a continuation of the intensity in midfield, I thought, in that opening half an hour. And then talk to me about that outswinging corner that you so love.
Well, you addressed Conroy at first. Are you talking?
I think it means you, Evan. It means you, I think, because.
Okay.
I beg your pardon, Evan.
No, you're good. So yeah,
you're just making sure you're paying attention, Evan.
I'm sharp. I'm sharp. I'm here to correct people. I'm here to be difficult. Let's do it. Yeah. So I'm a outswinging corner convert. You know, I'm a recovering in-swinging addict. You know. So outswinging corners definitely favor.
I don't know why I found that so funny, but
no, come on. I mean, come on. Let's be honest. Everyone likes a good in-swinging set piece because there's always the chance that everyone misses it and it goes in at the back post, right? Less so from corners, more from set pieces. But in terms of corners, I'm an outswinging guy. I just feel it favors taller, dominant players, and obviously in the Premier League, goalkeepers are so protected when they go up for a ball, and in-swinging corners tend to be easier for them to deal with. You can imagine how difficult it is to get an effective punch on an out-swinging corner, rather than just grabbing it. So, I'm an out-swinging corner guy, and when they look good, and you have Virgil van Dijk on your team, you're going to score some goals, and we've scored quite a few goals from corners this season.
That was a stunning header, though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was
one of those where he met it at full. He met it at the right height. It was just like before the keeper could even take a sideways glance, it hit the back of the net. One of those ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Let's be honest, embarrassing defending as well from Crystal Palace.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I forget who was on. I think it was Anderson on Van Dijk, and they run a pick on their own teammate, and he just lets him go. So, but you're right, Grizz. He it's one of those, he didn't even have to, cock back for it because the pace on the ball, the pace of the delivery is so spot on. The first 35 minutes you wanted me to touch on. There's a case to be made that first 35 minutes from Liverpool is the best football they've played since pre-lockdown. So going on 2 full calendar years now. That was stunning. That was sharp. That was efficient. It was cohesive. It's a gear that we know Liverpool are capable of shifting into where they will make any other team look tired. Like that gear we shifted into had me thinking, are Palace dealing with like fixture congestion? Have they had injuries recently? Are their players not fully fit? Because once Liverpool get in that gear, like I said, the players around them, trying to defend them and follow them, they just seem to be 3-4 steps behind. So that was an impressive gear that we shifted into today. And that second goal that we scored was just incredible.
You only get the first goal. Don't be greedy. Keith, Evans, I was of the agreement, but I wanted one of you lot to say it, because obviously the game on TV is different. So I don't want to be the one that said that. For me, that was one of the best performances of the season so far in the opening 35 minutes. Because, Palace were the team that had a whole week's rest. Let's not forget, we'd played 2 games since they've played. We played 3 games in about 7 days, I think, lads. Mm-hmm. And 2 games more than Palace, who've had a whole week to prepare for this. Energize, revitalize, call it what you want. But as Evan says, we were the team that showed that energy and sort of just pure tenacity in getting around the pitch and making sure the ball players on their team didn't get a chance to ball play, even though you think that they went direct very early. It was a scintillating performance. We take the 1-goal lead, and it's literally a matter of time before we get the second. And it literally is a matter of time before we get that second. What a lovely goal!
Yeah, brilliant goal. I think when you're with this Liverpool team at the moment, the ability, when they're switched on and when their legs are, on fire, if you will, then they will outpress and outdominate you in ways that no team can live with. It's impossible for them to live with. There's only 2 teams, in my opinion, in world football who do it. And I thought Manchester City are definitely one of them. In terms of in small spaces, you cannot get the time to breathe, because if somebody has pressed you, if Henderson goes for the press and he doesn't get the press, it's okay. He just jogs back into position till Curtis Jones then goes out to the press, and then he'll go jog back into, and then Firmino will go, and it's just consistent. It's relentless. It's hard work. And funny enough, what Klopp admitted was that they like this rhythm of playing every 2 days. He finally said it. So every time we said about summer holidays and all that, he said no. I don't have a problem with fixture congestion. It's good rhythm. This is the boys' rhythm are used to, and they showed it in that 35. And the second goal is, this is now the second week in a row we're talking about Andrew Robertson putting in a world-class cross, perfect for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who is I don't know who this fox in the box is. Who is this man? Because I thought it was just all about Oxlade-Chamberlain scoring 40-yard screamers and just banging it from here, there, and everywhere. That's second time this week he scored a goal within the box and quite close to the keeper's box as well. Brilliant finish in terms of the way he takes it. Takes it like a proper striker's goal, if you will. Yeah. And you know what? Is Ox someone that we said we're going to speak about a little later on? Was he part of that? So we're going to speak about Ox a little later on. But the quality of that ball and the quality of the finish, it was just,
It's not an easy finish, Keith. It's not an easy finish. He's really, see the space with his left foot. It's only a small gap to get into. So it's not a case of he just hits it and it goes in. So
and it's the sharpness to do so. It's the sharpness to take that turn, get that technique, hit that ball hard and low and go. And, something that you would expect a Luis Diaz to score.
Yeah,
for it. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying.
But it's true. It's true, Keith. You're spot on, I think, because Oxlade-Chamberlain, people always talk about his deficiencies and his weaknesses as a potential future player for Liverpool. In terms of they talk about, has he got the game intelligence to play in a Klopp team? Obviously, the injury situation, touch wood, everything's going fine. and it seems to be sort of more consistent with his fitness wise. But one thing he's always had, Conroy, is this goal scoring instinct, hasn't he? He always scores goals. That's one thing. He's very much like Jota in terms of he can be out of the game, not having a good game, but he'll pop up with a goal, whether it's a humdinger or whether it's in the box or something, or last week, what was the goal? Remind me, guys, where he against
the header, the back post,
the header, darting in at the far post. So he's got this knack, and when Klopp in sort of pre-season kind of scared a lot of the fan base and said, Oxes can play this false nine role for me. I don't think he can, but you see that he must be impressing with his finishing, right? Because as you said, that's 2 great finishes in 3 games.
Yeah, and it's a good point. Just before I go on to that, just when we're on Ox about before that goal happens, Grizz, there's actually 2 instances already, and there's definitely there's enough proof to see that this was a plan to simplify Ox's role at the right-hand side of the right wing, or whatever you want to say, because the Brentford goal, and he made that run a few times, but also when we scored the first goal, then Curtis Jones whips a ball back post, and Ox actually makes the central run, just unlucky not to get on the end of it. I think the keeper saves that. And then just before that, you have actually Andy Robertson whips it back post again, making that run because he knows there's space there, and Ox just hits the side netting. So you can tell that Klopp has worked on that to say, this can simplify your game at right wing. You don't want to play like Salah there. I just want you've got one of the best left backs in the world who can whip it, or if it comes centrally, who can look for you at the back post. Just make those runs and get the defence they're not sure who they're following. And that goal actually is the 3rd attempt at that. So it just shows that, as Keith said, football solutions. We're looking at trying different things. And I think with the simplification of Ox playing right wing, you can tell that. I think you're right, Grizz. It links to what Klopp said in the summer. Maybe the false 9 was a bit of a bad comment. But what I mean is, like, he can get in the box and he can have an impact. Like he's able to finish. He's not like a novice in the box when the chance comes. And those 2 goals, if you'd said those 2 goals, if you're watching YouTube and looking at a player we're going to sign, you would think he was that there's a striker finishes, especially the header and then the chest and left foot. Very impressed. And I think we're all in agreement here. I think we're all buzzing for Ox. I'm so happy for him because I think there's always this sentimental thing with the injury he gets against Roma. You're always in another injury he got. You just feel like you want him to do well. And 2 goals in 2 weeks. And I really feel like that's something that if Salah, for some reason, it's another option we've got, another string to our bow. If Salah moves centrally in a game and we need to chase it, you have got the option now where Ox you can try that with Robbo going for the ball and that kind of right flank run. So it adds to our ability to score. So I really think it was impressive today. And you might find he might. I know it's not the ideal, but when we need him to play, he can play there. So it's a great attribute for us to have.
It is because people spoke about sort of how we're going to score goals in the main whilst our lads are away at AFCON. And I think we've done a fair good job, Evan. But I wanted to come to you at 2-0. Because at 2-0, you'd think this is the time where we completely dominate, completely take over. They should be disheartened the way we're playing, the way we set off. They expected to be the team that's pressing the energy, yet we've come out with fucking blocks. And someone said in the chat, it looked like Klopp wanted to go for the kill. We've literally got the kill at 2-0. So do we turn off? Do we switch off? Or do Palace think there's nothing to lose here? We got to just totally go for it. Combination, I don't know. What happens? What's your thinking? What happens at 2-0 up at literally 35 minutes? Because I looked at my clock.
Yeah, so I think it would be slightly disrespectful to Palace to just say we turn off, we let them back in. Palace are, as we already touched upon, a proper team with a noticeable, distinctible way of playing. They're a front foot sort of team. They press high. They're physically imposing. So obviously we deserve some blame for letting them back into the game. Absolutely. But at the same time, like I said, it's disrespectful to say that we just handed it over to them. They took it back themselves. I thought they were fully exploiting our high line at times. As you guys know, I come on here every day and say I'm not a new fan of the midfield approach from Liverpool. I'm not a huge fan of the 2 roaming 8s next to Fabinho as opposed to the 1 roaming 8 in the past. And I actually disagreed. I think it was with Conroy last week where Conroy was saying, I think it's more of the high line that's letting us down. Today, the high line was definitely letting us down. And I thought Crystal Palace quickly recognized that in the first half. And then I'm sure we'll get on to the second half. They did more of the same. But yeah, Palace were well with their resurgence back into the game. They earned it. We didn't exactly hand it to them.
It starts off with a Matip blind pass, Keith. I want you to. You've been very praiseworthy of our approach in that 35 minutes. You've called it the best football, the best performance that you've seen. You've been gloating so far about the win and everything. Now I want you to maybe, if you've got it in you, to bring a bit of balance to that and talk to me what went wrong in that last 10 minutes. And then maybe the first 10, 15 minutes of the second half before I take it off you.
The best players for Liverpool did not play like the best players playing for Liverpool. It's as simple as that. And they have it in them. And it amazes me to this day that Joel Matip, of all people, one of the best ball-playing defenders in the world, can play a blind pass to Virgil van Dijk and have that intercepted within your own half. It is just... one of the things that has driven me crazy this season has been just at times just the brain fast. It's almost like you just see and then all of a sudden then something else happens. It's like, and you just see it all playing out. And then we just somehow love to give out the opposition confidence. And there was a player today that we did not need to give that confidence to, and that was that Alisson, that winger that they have. Wow. Talk about announcing yourself on the main stage of Premier League, on the Premier League televised game. I thought he was brilliant, and he's the last type of player that Liverpool need. CC Dwight McNeil as well, who has also caused us significant issues in the same way. We did not need to give them confidence to come at us, and yet we did. We missed we missed tackles. Most of it was passes. A lot of the passes were blind passes. Firmino gets one drilled into him, loses the ball with like something that is almost just as trademark as it is his skills and his tricks, is Firmino losing the ball usually in our half of the pitch, and the team counter-attack. It's happened more than one occasions, and it happened again today, and they counter-attack from it. And it's decisions that we put these guys on such a pedestal, and we know how great they are, and they literally show it to us, but then all of a sudden it gets taken away. And I've kind of listened to Klopp's feedback over the years about this, and a lot of the times it is a case of, he speaks of, intensity in the legs, intensity in the situations, and he always, and that's the one thing he doesn't get enough praise for. He praises the opposition and says, yeah, they took advantage of that, and we weren't good after that. And Palace did, and that's testament to the players that played today, including Jeffrey Schlupp in the midfield, which was that midfield wing thing. I thought he was a left back.
Left winger, yeah. But he's always had so much. He's always had a great engine, Schlupp. So I think I was thinking that as well. I think Vieira knows that he's not the best ball player, even though his pass for the goal, we'll get into that, is really good. But he can cover a lot of ground. He can cover, even with Leicester, he could always cover ground. So
he's known as one of the quickest players they've got. Apparently, he's lightning, and Vieira has converted him into one of these 8s alongside Gallagher, who I thought was brilliant again, especially second half. But Conrad, going into 2-0, I sighed a deep, no, which way around is it? Deep sigh of relief.
That's the one.
Yeah, deep sigh. Yeah.
Deep sigh of relief. That we kept a clean sheet. We didn't deserve to keep a clean sheet.
No chance.
And I thought to myself, at 2-0, wow, we've kept a clean sheet, game over. That's how confident I was that we're going to go into halftime. Klopp's going to have a word, calm them, everyone down, say, you fucking idiots. The 2 great chances that they've created is because of your sloppiness. They haven't really created anything else apart from a chance which was eventually given offside, because Alisson makes an amazing reaction save. Like at the ground, I was like, wow. I mean, it looked amazing, the reaction. But obviously it was deemed offside. But no, we come out second half and they come really, really roaring into us. And now they're not forcing mistakes. Now they're really on top of us because of the confidence we've given them because of our sloppiness. So now it's not sloppiness. Now they're on top of us in that second half, right? And adding on to what Keith said, I thought Elise was sublime.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just on like the two saves as well before half time. See the one where it takes round the goalkeeper. How many people, that's a goal, and Alisson manages to read it somehow and get, I think it's his left foot. Like we talk about people like Peter Schmeichel and stuff and keepers who intimidate forwards. I feel like Alisson is actually unbelievable. Like we need to remember these moments. I know we're getting more into it when people try to say like, if he maybe makes a mistake, maybe once in a blue moon, or maybe a bit complacent, like genuinely, like, the guy is ridiculous. I know we'll get in, but just I wanted to say that I thought that save was brilliant because I thought the defender cleared it, but he actually touched it. But on the second half, I completely agree, Grizz. I thought we've won a watch. We've won a watch here. We've deserved to concede because I was fuming actually because do you know what? One mistake's fine. It can happen, but we're against a team like Manchester City. I don't see Manchester City making 3 mistakes like that at the end of the half. I don't. Maybe I'm just too much in our tunnel vision, but I don't see them making those 3 mistakes. And that is what annoys me. It's like if a mistake can happen, we'll give it the best chance of momentum. Sometimes, not a lot with Klopp, but there's just certain instances, especially 2-0 leads, where like it's like we just hand teams initiative to build momentum in grounds. And Klopp talks about momentum all the time. So this is not like a manager who disagrees. And that's why I know he'll be very annoyed. So I thought he's going to get them to the changing room. He's going to be fuming and say, what are you doing here? Like genuinely, I was going to swear there, but wakes the something up him and maybe a bit of, not the hairdryer treatment, but maybe, a bit aggressively to the players. I thought we'd come out and maybe be a bit quieter, control the game management. How many times have we mentioned game management this season, folks, and not always the greatest aspect. But when that happened, I was actually surprised that it basically, would you say a copy and paste from the last 15 minutes of that second half? Obviously, credit Evan said as well, Palace actually probably played better. I think Palace really, they kept trying it, but the direct balls are working, and then the confidence of players like Elise. Even I thought, see, is it Maketa? He's obviously not the most clinical striker, but I thought his movement was quite good.
Was
just handy the initiative. Sorry, that's it. And I just felt that. Just a blanket question here, guys, and it's not even about the high line. I'm not going to say that. How easy did that look in the first, start of second half? How easy did that look to get in behind? At the game, Grizz, how did that feel? Were you not pulling your hair out? Sorry, but were you grabbing the hat? I know you've got your hat. What was it like at the game? Did you feel like it was constant?
So, do you remember I spoke to you guys after the game at Arsenal? And I said I never felt uncomfortable, like I knew we're gonna see this through. For about 20 minutes, it was the opposite. I genuinely thought it's a matter of time in that opening 20-25 minutes where they get the second. So it wasn't comfortable viewing. But then I've looked at it, and I probably will come back to it at the end. I thought, even though we've praised Vieira, I thought he made a few too many changes, especially in the attacking style, which helped us. But we'll get onto that. And Evan, I want to come to you, and I want you to break down their goal for me, because I've had one look at it, obviously live, and then I've had a look at it as a highlight package, right? So you guys will have seen replays, slow-mos, the build-up. I see certain people have managed to somehow blame Henderson for vacating that part of the pitch, being ahead of the ball. Then I've seen some people blame Matip for not being enough dominant and getting that head to that ball, not being physical enough and winning that header cleanly and getting some distance on it as opposed to just touching it down. I've not seen that many, apart from my own friends that we were around, blame Virgil van Dijk. So I'm not saying Virgil van Dijk was at fault. I'm not asking you to say that. I'm asking you to give your opinion and think is there a blame? Because usually there's a blame somewhere, even if it's the minutest of blames. And B, I thought it was an absolute pass of the game. I thought it was a sublime ball.
Yeah, it's a pass that will only be bettered by a certain other pass that I'm sure we'll get to talking about later. It's an incredible pass. It looks great from the broadcast angle as well. So take nothing away from that. Whose fault is it? Well, I think, when you actually sit down and analyze any game, you'll realize that most errors are collective, systematic breakdowns, as opposed to just one person completely letting the team down. I said the high line rather than my usual complaint about the midfield was largely at fault today. In this specific instance, though, you can see Henderson has vacated that part of the field. He is pushed very high up, pressing, as is Curtis Jones. So this isn't Henderson's fault as much as it is the fault of this new tactical approach that I am so outspokenly against. In the Wijnaldum era midfield, Wijnaldum is right there sweeping that up, or whoever's playing the Wijnaldum role on that given day, the guy who's parked next to Fabinho or just running around doing Fabinho's dirty work. But in this new era Liverpool midfield, that space is so often vacated and Fabinho has to come over, switch to the side, and you could see him, he's running over trying to affect it. But he's responsible for 50 yards of pitch to cover and protect. So it's unrealistic to ask that of him. So it's no real one individual's fault. Not to sound like a broken record, but it is sort of the fault of this new approach and how we play the midfield out of possession.
Keith, do you agree with that summary, or are you willing to actually call out any Liverpool players and say there was? I mean, I agree with Evan on the whole in terms of it's always a sequence of events that enables, unless it's an absolute dog shit error from an individual, like a back pass or or a stupid tackle or something. Is when there's a goal like that, this construction from the opposition, it's always you have to look at the position of certain players, not only the high line but in midfield, like Evan has. Is there a couple of players that you want to call out?
I think you mentioned Virgil van Dijk, right? So that's an interesting one, actually, a very interesting one, because Virgil ultimately, I believe, Matete just runs past him basically, and how you envisage centre backs to track their runner to the bitter end and track them all the way. He decides to be the modern day centre back, which is try and step out and try and win it offside. I've said it, this offside trap thing that him and Matip play, they play this game to the death. Many goals are conceded because they get this just that little bit wrong. And it's usually because ironically, it's one of the wing backs usually that play everyone on side. But there are times when Virgil is too, how would I describe, like he thinks about setting the trap rather than dealing with the danger, because this trap usually works. And in this instance, the trap didn't work. So he tries to play the onside, not really thinking even about going to run. So by the time Matete's gone through, Virgil's already wrong-footed, flat-footed. He's not going to be able to catch him. It's a tap-in 1-2. You've got Fabinho who goes in for the press at the Jeffrey Schlupp at the initial pass. And ultimately, Schlupp plays the pass at the perfect time. Do you know what I mean? Literally, like if he plays that pass, probably a second or two later, Fabinho probably slams that, blocks out, ball's gone out of play, it's done. So Schlupp plays that pass quickly, but Virgil, by playing the track, if he had followed Matete and followed his man to the end, could it have been a different situation? That can be up for debate for sure. But that's how I see the Virgil positioning wise and why he ended up here, because it's done something that has been so successful. Let's be honest, that offside trap is so successful, but we love playing high risk football to the end, and this is the result. When it goes wrong by even an inch, we are punished 100%. It always looks easy. Milan did this to us. I remember very specifically when they scored their second, it's almost like they walked through us. So it happens at times that they just walk through us because we think we've got the traps on smash, we don't, and then they score easy goals. And like, what Evan says is that he doesn't agree with this type of high-risk tactic, and I can see his points why, because when it doesn't work, it really fucks us up.
Yeah, it almost looks too easy, as Conroy mentioned earlier. Like it looks like, how did they just walk through our goal and get a tap in? And it's good I brought this the super chat up at this point. Selection says, "Don't kill me." No, brother, we don't. We're not out here to. We're not killers. We're lovers, man. But I don't like Verge at times. Okay, we may have to look to change our approach. No, but he says, I feel
it may not be us.
I feel like he tries to look cool with everything he does. Need him to be a dog a lot more. Once upon a time, I said something in one of my in my WhatsApp groups that people forever hounded me for, and I said why my one criticism of Virgil van Dijk, one criticism, lads, before you guys kill me as well. One of my criticisms of Virgil van Dijk, and this may get clipped up, but I don't give a fuck, is Virgil van Dijk to me doesn't enjoy defending sometimes. That's all I said. Sometimes he doesn't enjoy defending. He enjoys being magnificent. He enjoys being the best centre-back physically and on the ball and everything. But sometimes he doesn't enjoy nasty, hard, get dirty defending. That's all I said. I don't know if you want to...
Well, do you think that's because, Grizz, like, he's that good that, like Maldini's phrase, or as Maldini says, if you're on the ground, you've already made a mistake. I think Virgil van Dijk, and this is when they're saying last year about Ruben Diaz, is like, Ruben Diaz is brilliant, but he's always reactive at times and he will get there. But Virgil van Dijk is like a step ahead. And he even uses, like, earlier in the game when Elise hits the shot right at Alisson. That's because Virgil will play the games with people and give them the opportunity. Like he does, there's a lot of psychology, well, not psychology, but putting the onus on the player. He's very good at that. And I feel like at times when maybe he's not fully back at 100%, you can just tell that when he's there, that'll pay off a lot of the time. But just this season, there's certain times where I kind of get that. You maybe want him to go like full speed. How many times do we say he's playing in second gear? So I kind of get that. But I feel like he can do it. I think it's just in his head.
He can. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I agree. No. I mean, look, people always, they're ready to take your words and just blow it up. He's probably going to tweet this or make a video of it. Yes, Chris, get rid of this VVD guy. Okay, if you want to get rid of him.
Don't say if you want, Chris. I'll cut that up.
No, if he wants to get rid of him, he's the one who said it.
I get what you're saying, Chris, though. Like, see, I get it in the sense of...
So, look, for example, in this situation... So, look, my very quick summary about this is looking at the game from the angle I saw it, I do agree with Evan. It is a systematic error. I do agree that it was a few individual at mistake here. I agree, Matt. It wasn't obviously more physical enough, commanding enough. Get fucking head to that. You're 5 inches bigger than whoever that striker or whatever was, right? Even if you have to foul him there, give a foul. I think Robertson. People are. I'm sorry, Conroy, but
sorry, mate. He's got to assess, man. He's allowed to make a
mistake. Exactly. Robertson has to be speaking, in my opinion. Robertson has to be speaking, in my opinion, to tell Virgil, man behind you, because Robertson can't get to him. Virgil can. I just thought that is an element that it's gone missing on a lot of people. Robertson had to communicate, and I just think the communication, very much like the Chelsea goal. Do you remember second goal we conceded? Not the volley.
Pulisic.
Yeah, very much similar, where the communication across the back four and midfield was non-existent. I think it was pretty similar. But look, they get that goal, Evan. They get that goal, and then you think, okay, this is going to be horrible. It was horrible, but as I said earlier, we've praised Vieira. I don't think his substitutions, Evan, helped them. I don't know what your thoughts were, because after that initial 20-25 minutes of horror show, like defending and pressure and everything, Alisson makes a couple of more brilliant saves. I thought they weren't that threatening without. They were kind of putting pressure, but they weren't threatening the goal per se. I don't know how you guys saw it.
Yeah. On the substitution thing, I can't remember who they brought on, so maybe that reinforces your point.
Benteke and
So what they did,
I'm saying that in defense of you saying that maybe the substitutions weren't that effective, and me not being able to remember who they brought on maybe backs that up. Yeah, I thought that did quell their momentum a bit. They always carried that threat through the individuals you guys have already talked about. Odsonne Edouard, Michael Olise, who won't be at Crystal Palace for very long. Let me tell you that. And yeah, I thought they always carried that threat, like you said. And when they did get that one goal back, I did not back us to hold that lead because we have been, let's be honest, pretty dismal at holding on to leads this season. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily down on any of the players individually as to why are they back in the game? Why did that goal happen? I was mainly sort of resenting the changes to the system. And again, I keep arriving back here. All of the things I haven't liked about watching Liverpool this season have been systemic things that I disagree with. I have no resentment towards really any individuals, to be honest. So much has been made of Henderson's performances this season. I would argue most of that is him not being a good fit to the role that he currently plays. So yeah, that's how I was sort of feeling. But my confidence in us holding on to that lead was pretty slim. Even though the momentum had quelled Grizz, I didn't think that we would survive the 90 minutes.
Yeah, look, there's 2 super chats that I want to bring up for this segue. And Keith gets first shot. LFC Aaron says, that Trent pass, though, he's phenomenal. So yeah, in a phase of play where they're trying to play through us as opposed to over us, Keith, at that point, he intercepts, which people obviously don't notice. No one notices Trent's interceptions, right? And reading of the game. It's all about his.
It's brilliant. Watching that live and him making those decisions in his interceptions is fucking good to watch.
So he intercepts that. Really good. And then Keith, boom. To the guy that the special one, Mourinho. Thank you very much for coming on our show. So Jota scores goals, but he's not a great footballer. He booms that out to Jota, who take it away. What does Jota do? Anything wrong there? Does he? Did you think he should have got the shot off earlier? The pass? Talk me through the incident.
I mean, first of all, in terms of as a footballer, Diogo Jota to know instinctively to make that run. It's interesting now. Listen to Mane talk, and he's kind of like, I just make the runs and then the ball's there. Basically, Mane and Salah have both been on record as saying that they know that the ball is just going to be there. They just make the runs, and Jota does exactly that. Makes a run in between the 2 defenders. It's all about the ball. This guy is just, as I said, it will be really interesting to see what happens at the end of the season, because this man will be up there with major awards. Like this is his season, and he's had some ups and downs and had a few bumps in the road, but we've seen fresh Trent Alexander-Arnold over the past couple of games, and my friend, you are seeing just greatness happen. That ball is unbelievable. It's just really is unbelievable, and where he plays it from as well is just absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry.
It's literally, guys. It's literally, and this is a great shout from me. No, I'm serious. This is a great shout from me. Do you remember Beckham scored from the halfway line
against Wimbledon?
At Palace.
Sorry. I think you're right. It's
Wimbledon. It was about Wimbledon. I thought it was at Selhurst Park. So it's not such a great point. It lessens the greatness only slightly. But still, that ping reminded me of Beckham pinging that ball into the goal, obviously, but this time to the absolute feet of Jota.
Yeah, and Jota, could he have taken it? The thing he does the most is he's tenacious to the end. And that's the one thing you got to love about Diogo Jota. He doesn't stop.
It was at Selhurst Park. Thank you very much, 1890 Red Podcast. So, yeah, it brings it
That's crazy memory, isn't it? Like, you remember the ground. That's crazy.
They shared it. They had a ground share before they then got bought out by Milton Keynes. Shout out MK Dons.
We're a fountain of knowledge, guys. We're a fountain of football heritage right in here.
Right here. And then the debate about whether it's going to be a penalty, There's the reason why I believe it's a penalty. Because basically, where Jota goes in, like his natural reaction was to move his body weight because he saw that the ball was bouncing that way. So his movement is to go that way towards the ball. You can kind of see he's taken that turn, and the keeper's just come and clattered him. And at the end of the day, the keeper's made the decision to go physical, and he didn't get the ball. So if you didn't get the ball and you stopped, and the ball's still in play, and you impact the person that could still get the ball, there's no saying Diogo Jota can't make that ball. It's not going that quick. You know, that all of that is just great footballing intelligence by both Trent Alexander-Arnold and Diogo Jota, because that is a man that knows that the ball is still alive until the ball is dead. And when you're a football player that plays like that, then we have a Diogo Jota in our hand. What a player. Unbelievable. So he makes that situation happen. Real, you know, that kind of talent makes those situations, makes the mistake, gets the penalty. And that is what you need when you're trying to chase a league title.
Conroy, at the time of the incident, I had a magnificent view of it. And I instantly said penalty. So, yeah, obviously, Keith described the pass and everything, and I don't know if you want to touch upon that. My initial reaction was penalty. Everyone around me said, nah. I said, no, I'm telling you, that is going to be referred. and because I'm telling you, he brought him down. Since
and you're not the type, Grizz, as well. You're not the type to like put the goggles on when you see stuff as well.
No, exactly.
That's what you're like. So,
but since I've been home and watched it again, I think it's brilliant, clever play from Jota. But I'd be fuming if that was given against me. That is such a Harry Kane, Van Nistelrooy, Aguero, strikers, intelligence, game intelligence, cheating, driving, whatever you want to fucking call it, that gets given a lot of the times. But I would be fuming if it was given against me. So I don't know where I stand, basically, Conroy. Where do you stand?
Well, see, on it, right, I'm going to disagree with the clever part. I think genuinely, I love Jota, but for me, it's clear he tries to lift it over his left foot and he miscues it. So that's what happens. So it's not like he doesn't mean to take it around. Like, it's clever to get there, but 9 times out of 10 he lifts it over him, and I think he just miscues the ball.
Fair point.
So this is where I'm going to disagree. I think because he miscues the ball, that's why it kind of looks strange instead of taking it around the keeper. I'm going to say...
No, I'm talking about the intelligent part where he knows he's lost it or he's not getting it, and then make it a penalty.
But do you think he can judge that, or do you think it's just because the ball's wet and then he's been taken out? Because like I don't know how quick you can do that. No, but see, listen, I'm not...
I think he's a shithouse.
I'm not... I know, I agree with that, but in this instance, right, you know what I'm like, guys. I'm not one to like, oh, if we get any decisions of penalty, you know I'm not like that at all, right? I've looked at this several times, and I've got to be honest, right? See, like the example of like Kane, or see Vardy, how Vardy put his leg across. I get that, right? But I think it happens so quick, and because it's lucky because he miscues the ball, and therefore it's an awkward kind of touch. The keeper clatters him, but I still think the keeper clatters him. Like, maybe I'll have to watch it again, and maybe you say he does it on purpose, but I don't think he's got time to do that. I think he just gets caught because it's lucky he miscues it. But that, I think, you see if that happens anywhere in the park, right? And I hate saying this, but I do think that's just a pen. I think he just takes him out. Like, and it's not because there's contact, by the way, because that's a load of rubbish. Like, it's significant contact, it's a foul, but I do think that's significant contact. He just takes him out and the ball's still in. Like,
I know everyone's got a lot to say on this.
Maybe you disagree, guys. I just like, I really looked at that a few times and I wasn't sure, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, I still think the keeper gets nowhere near him. So like, can the keeper just take anybody out? Can you take anybody out? So
I know everyone's about to say a lot because about shithousery and
no,
blah, blah,
it's
blah,
not even that.
So, Keith, you wanted to jump in very quickly there.
No, Evan, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you wanted to say something. Go on, Evan.
So, I'm watching on TV. So obviously I got nothing but replays, and it was a very long VAR check. So it's just replay after replay after replay. When in real time, I said that's not a penalty. Get up. When it went to VAR, I thought we were looking at a 10-second check, 15 seconds tops. I did not expect that to be given. But then, obviously, I got replay after replay after replay. And then going on what Conroy said, you notice that normally you're right, Grizz. When the player thinks that he's messed the play up and the ball's gone, it's going out of bounds, you would see a player like Van Nistelrooy, like Kane, start to stick their legs out and initiate contact. And there is a movement of Jota towards Guaita. But if you look carefully, he's trying to dink the keeper and he just completely misses the ball. So he's not stretching his leg out because trying to get tripped. He genuinely tries to dink the keeper, and then they just come together. And it's essentially he goes into Guaita as much as Guaita comes into him. So as the replays are happening, I'm seeing what's happened, and now I'm saying, oh shit, they might give this. I still don't think it's the right call. I don't think it's a penalty.
Why are you saying, oh shit, they might give this? Like, what? Explain that fucking.
Sorry, let me explain that feeling a little bit more.
It's a precedent, isn't it? It's a precedent because
yeah. So I'm not saying oh shit in like I don't want this to happen. I'm saying oh shit, I was so sure 30 seconds ago this wasn't a penalty, and now it's dawning on me that this is about to be a pen. Here's the thing: I can see why it's a pen, and if you look at the rule book and you analyze it to the molecular level that VAR did today, I kind of see how you have to give it. However, I don't think it's in the spirit of the game to give that pen. And people might roll their eyes at that phrase. But this is the whole thing about VAR. Is VAR in the spirit of the game? Should we be busting out fucking, graphs to analyze offsides? Should we be busting out the yardsticks? Should we be drawing lines? There's a whole debate over whether VAR in general is within the spirit of the game. That call, in my opinion, is not really in the spirit of the game. However, if you take it to VAR and break it down, like I said, to the atoms of it, then yeah, you kind of have to give it because Guaita's momentum is out of control. Jota is not intentionally drawing the contact, as you can see on replay. So I'll take it, to be honest. Let me curtail this by saying we're cashing in for all of the penalties we should have gotten at Anfield in the last three seasons.
We don't even have to go back that far, right? Let's
go to Spurs. Let's go to Spurs, Grizz. That result is going to be the one that haunts me at the end of the season, the Spurs draw, because that really worked me up. How Jota didn't get a penalty when Royale just clatters into him from behind. It's shocking. So maybe this was just the footballing gods redistributing the karma down the footballing pyramid. Who knows? But yeah, I think it can only be described as a bit of a soft penalty, and I think it opens a conversation on VAR more than it does on any of the players involved in the incident.
Is there anything that you wanted to add, Keith, to that?
Only very interesting point on the topic of VAR. I just think there's too much money involved not to use technology today. It's as simple as that. Too much money is involved in this sport, too much on the line. Like, you have to bring in all the latest technology that's available to you. If that's automating offsides, which technology will probably do soon, probably even better than the linesman. And obviously you have video replays that you can watch 1,000 times and be in the benefit of. I think a lot of it is the education on kind of how to use the technology around you that I think has not happened as smoothly as it should between referees and VAR. Like there's a genuine... Like, you got technology. It's almost like you could describe this in a lot of work environments, right? You've got technology and you've got the people that are using that technology, right? And you're trying to implement this technology and you're saying this is the better way, more efficient, gets things right more often than it does, blah, 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 blah. You're trying to bring it together, but there's a way of doing things that never used to use technology. And, they come to a clash, and the people that are using the technology need to be better trained in when to use it and when not to use it, right? And when to look
key. I think that's key.
And see it as a video replay slowly. And if you're looking back at it 10 times, it probably isn't really something that's clear and obvious to you either, if you have to keep looking at it. One decision, you should look at that thing one time, look at it, I thought so, or, oh, okay, I didn't see that, go ahead. When you're looking at it, slowing it down, that's bad use of technology. So better use of technology will equal better situation where these things may not be as common. And we're actually, from a perspective of evidence, that someone will look at it and say, well, look, isn't it the momentum, like, I'm looking too much into this? No goal. But a lot of pressure again on these situations. And I think the people using it need to be better trained.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that, Grizz, as well?
I'll let you just one, Conrad. Go on.
Sorry. Okay. So I'll let you get the super.
Because you know why? If we go round like once, and then we're gonna have to go around another time as well. Because
no, I just wanted to add that Keith made a good point about, like, the actual decisions are pretty high Like with VR. VR's going nowhere. Let's just cement that. VR's going nowhere, right? Because I don't care. I want correct decisions. Like, and that's a bad example today. I get it's a subjective one, but you need VR. I don't want instances where cups are lost because someone's saying, "Oh, why would we need that? Because it's just offside." See, if you lost a final because it was just offside, people were complaining before VR about referees every week. So let's not act like, well, we're this sudden new thing, right? Football fans want to blame everything every week. That's the nature of the beast. However, with VR, it'll get there. It's going to take time to perfect. Don't get me wrong. And you're absolutely right. Instances like that need to get better about if you slow-mo it or how long you take. I completely agree. But the only way we're going to get to that level is by doing it like this and constantly having to change it to make it better, because there's not another process. And there's issues in every country, by the way. Like, I do agree the competency of some of the refs here needs to be looked at 100%. However, the actual device of VR is brilliant. Like, it is brilliant. Like, we just need to perfect the way of using it, and I think we'll get there.
I'm going to stick with you, Conrad. Selection says, shout out to our top goal scorer in 2022, Fabinho. That's never a pen. I would be pissed off if we wasn't in Crystal Palace situation. Fabinho, quite the penalty taker, isn't he? And he's chipped in with a few vital goals in recent times. Just generally, basically, sort of, I wanted to come on sort of the second half tactics because,
Samanusk.
Just asks about Klopp's second half tactics, and then selection with another super chat says our problem is complacency. I feel we get too comfortable going up in games. I feel so scared when we score first now, and we don't know how to hold on to the ball. So I wanted to keep these super chats together and come to you and Evan. I guess I'll start off with you and talk about sort of the tactics. We've discussed Klopp's tactics when we go up. We start off brilliantly, but when we take leads, a couple of the people in the chat, obviously, and send the super chats, are concerned about our tactics when we go up. Is there some thinking behind this? Is there a theory behind this?
I think my favourite tweet of today was when Grizz was at the game and he went, our high lines higher once we've conceded. I thought that was the best tweet of the day. And
guys, it was mental. So that's when I thought I'm going to have a discussion with you guys about this, because I want to get your valued footballing opinion on this. Like, I know Keith's a fucking adamant of it. I know you're not so keen on it. I just wanted to get your thoughts on this, because we were getting higher and higher. The more they were getting more and more direct, we were getting higher and higher. So there's absolute method to this madness. There is a method. It's not fluke. It's not we're thick. Klopp is insisting. Pep Linders are insisting on playing this way. So take it away.
But you're just quickly, Grizz, then, I understand the high line. I do agree with it to a certain extent. What I mean is at certain times you can tweak it. But what I would say is, Jamie Carragher said something earlier, and I want to know if you guys agree with this. Is the problem not the high line, or the fact that, like you said earlier, that defenders won't track someone if they do get in behind? So see if that doesn't work. So see who lobs... He lobs Alisson, right? So Robbo actually, in fairness, and I'm not just saying it, he takes the responsibility to say, right, this has happened too often, I'm going to go with him. And yes, it is saved, but I do think he gets there to put a bit of pressure on him. He tracks it after the high line. Do you think we need to do that more often? Or do you think it's just a case of, at certain games, like I said a couple of weeks ago, we just need to be like, right, this is too easy, we need to drop 5 yards? Because if Elise scores, right, are we all happy today, or are we like, that's the problem again? Because I don't know. Like, I'm just talking about game management. I'm not talking about changing our full tactics.
I think the last thing you want to do is say, okay, we're playing a high line this season, and then it goes wrong on one or two occasions in the game, and then one person takes it upon themselves to say, okay, enough's enough. Let's be honest, that's the last thing, breaking ranks from the game plan.
He tracked it on, so he played the high line, but then when he got in behind Robertson, instead of standing, he chased him back. So that's what I was meaning. Like, he's still playing the line, but instead of just standing there like a statue.
I see what you mean. Well, yeah. In that case, it's situational, and I think Robertson feels the liberty to do that because he was actually a yard ahead of Van Dijk
Good
and
point, good
Matip,
point.
and he had the liberty to take a few steps and still hold the line. So yeah, whenever the wing backs have the liberty to take a few steps, obviously, they should do that. And I think Matip or Van Dijk would do the same thing. The problem is, and to our credit, we're so uniform all the time that on the occasions that we're literally a brick wall, literally so straight, and then the ball and the run is perfect, everyone's sat there like statues, like you said, doing what they're supposed to be doing, and we get caught out, kind of like the first goal.
Keith, De Bruyne says we absolutely need to play Joe Gomez in place of Matip if we want to continue playing the high line. We need Joe Gomez's recovery pace. I just wanted to rack your brains, guys, because I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking about sort of our two best seasons. Obviously, the 97-point season with the Champions League victory, and the one where we actually won the league. And obviously, people in the chat will no doubt sort of help us here as well. So, when do you think, guys, we played a consistently high line as this? Was it in any of those two seasons? And who was the major partner of Virgil in those seasons, in those glorious seasons? Both of them were glorious in my eyes, even though we ended up not winning the title but won the Champions League. It was a glorious season in my eyes. Who was the major partner for the majority of the time? And did we play a high line as much as this? Keith,
so
would you know?
Or
anyone else?
Between Joe Gomez. It was Gomez, wasn't it, Van Dijk?
No, Joe Gomez.
It was Gomez.
When we won the league, it was Gomez. I think Matip played the first couple of games.
Yeah, and he got injured and he was out for a long time. Yeah. No, you're
right.
And
then Matip played the last couple when we won the Champions League. He played towards the end of the season. I think, anyway.
And I agree with that, because mine was a mischievous question, right? I asked a mischievous question because it was Gomez. Our best statistically period was under Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk. And I think that recovery pace is absolutely vital. Now, I also think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, people, let us know ASAP in the chat. In our title-winning season, where I feel as though, and Evan, Conroy, guys, ready to jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, because I just thought about this off the top of my head. I didn't do no research into this. I felt in our title-winning season, I don't feel, or the eye test tells me, it didn't feel as though we played such a high line. I thought our game management, and in terms of dropping deeper, was more apparent, and I also feel it was Matip in a lot of those games. I don't know. What do we think?
Here's the thing. I think we did scoot the lineup quite a noticeable amount when VAR was introduced, because that's part of it. The ideal is you can be more aggressive with the high line, knowing that VAR is going to catch any strays. But the difference is, I keep swinging the conversation back. The difference is it wasn't Fabinho guarding 50 yards of space in front of the defensive line by himself when a long ball is hit to them. Again, Jorginho Wijnaldum is also doing his fair of tracking back behind the center backs. Wijnaldum is tracking runs behind Trent. Wijnaldum is tracking runs, whoever's in that role on that given day. So, yeah, that is where the high line begins, Grizz. But in terms of the structure of this team, I just don't know if you can do both the high line and the two roaming eights. I think you have to choose. Because in 1920, I would still say we were in our conservative phase, carrying over from the previous season, winning the Champions League. The line did scoot up, but the security that was left to deal and clean up with situations remained. And this season, we seem to have abandoned even that.
El Drago says 18-19 Gomez played till December and then got injured. Matip played the rest of the season. 19-20 Gomez played most of it after the Matip injury. Brilliant super chat.
Nice.
Just one more I wanted to read out before I wanted to speak about. Someone's made a brilliant comment that I want to speak about. It's pretty much on the back of what Evan said. Selection says, I feel the problem is the tweak in the midfield works. I don't expect the players to fully get it in a couple of months, and certain man's cough Hendo doesn't fit the tweak. This is the one I wanted to bring up. And I don't know if Keith wants to take this, Conroy wants to take this. Pressing has regressed and our midfield has miles in the legs. In that second half, before you go, Keith, and feel free to say whatever you want and however you want to, brother. But I agree with this. And I may give my opinion afterwards, but let you go first.
So, you know, there is that old cliche that's saying, oh, having him back feels like a new signing. And you can clip me right now and clip me right now when I say this.
There's a lot of clippings of you at the end of the season.
Honestly.
February, you are going to see the midfield and the evolution that it had been way into play and looked amazing, to be honest. And that will come in February, because at this moment in time, we've had to slug through games, right? We've had a million situations happen to us in a short period of time. The reality of the situation as a whole is that we're in a cup final. We are second and we are ahead of Chelsea, funny enough. We are in Champions League last 16 and we are still in the FA Cup, and we have all our players that will be back fit and available in February. So all of these situations where the midfield have had like they're tired in their legs, they've looked unstructured at times, they felt bypassed. Yes, I agree that there's been a lot of bad performances in terms of we've expected better from Fabinho. We've expected better from Henderson. We've expected, better from even Curtis Jones has had some games, some time. But James Milner, he's been at the behest of a lot of people this season as well, and saying he doesn't fit in, etc., etc. But all these players have had to be pulled in. Naby Keita's had his shift. One thing about the midfield is that you need all your midfielders. You need 6 of them. You need to have all your midfielders available, because if your midfielders are
especially in the club,
you have to. If you look at Chelsea, for example, perfect example, you see when they start to break down, because midfielders at top teams break down the most. You look at Man United, Paul Pogba hasn't played football in ages, right? N'Golo Kante, best midfielder in the world, suffers a lot. Came off the bench today to play for Chelsea. The role in the midfield is such a demanding position and so hard to keep the fact that we managed to do that for a whole season was, and that's why Klopp never changed it, because people always used to Klopp should change it back when it was, the same, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson, and it was like, Klopp should change it, Klopp should put Keita here, but it kind of like, it worked, and it was a miracle we kept them all fit for as long as we did. But the reality is, you are going to need to have rotation, but the best of what we have is to come. And that's what's probably the most exciting, because Thiago's back, because Elliott's back, because even now Curtis Jones has offered solutions, Fabinho, Henderson, there's so many options. But as I always say, that, the Fabinho role is the role that's the hardest to change and the hardest to deal with. And that's where, if he gets legs, it feels like everybody else, his legs is gone. When Fabinho's legs are gone and you see Fabinho have a bad game, you feel like the whole thing breaks down around you. That's that for me, that's the kind of where I see it. That's where I see the midfield situation at Liverpool at the moment, because it's a great conversation. It's great. We have so many options. And I'm so excited for what's to come. I'm really, really excited.
Go ahead, Top Red. Conroy, just before you go,
on you go, Chris.
Just bring this one in. Promo says, appreciate the super chat. He goes, we need an upgrade on Henderson, need a controller. And Sim says, Elisa looks an absolute gem. Absolute gem. One of my favorite players on the pitch. Unbelievable that we were offered him for 7 million and we turned up our noses.
This is top 6 teams. Don't look at championships. So don't look at the turn their nose up. Listen, numerous examples of this recently. You've had Eze last season. This is not anything new by Palace. They basically give a platform to young players from the Championship. Now it's Elise. So that's our fault again. Like, we could get a Danjuma, Bournemouth, our fault again. Like, not just having to go at Liverpool, it's a top 6 problem. There's definitely snobbery, because you can see Championship players are coming right in the Premier League now and being hitting the ground running more than they ever have before. Even Harvey Elliott is one season at Blackburn, plays 3 games for us and is one of our best players. So there's definitely, I think, a change in Championship players' ability now. Definitely. I don't know if you guys agree, but I feel like some teams are missing a market there. They could probably save themselves 50 million, you know.
Just before I let you have your thoughts on the midfield situation, and I want Evan's opinion on this as well, actually. Midfield definitely has a lot of miles. I agree. We will see the midfield work better in February, mainly because Thiago calms everything down, and we can see what Hendo is meant to do when Elliot is back. Just getting on the back of what Keith said, Conroy, anything that you wanted to add or pick up on?
I think he summed it up quite well, Keith. I would add that today, the probably first half of the 35 minutes is the best example of we looked good, we looked on it, the pressing was good one-touch football, and then second half, you could tell that we couldn't keep that intensity. Whereas I think with the addition, I'm not going to get into transfers tonight, guys, but would the addition help with that? Would it add? For me, it would allow a bit more rotation in that team. But as well, I think there's a bit to be said for Evan's point in the comments that it's maybe going to, if we want to try this new way with the 8s that we've been doing, that's maybe going to take maybe a full season to properly adapt to that, or even, slightly less, but it's going to take a long time. So for me, the key answer in an ideal world would be an addition. Like if you get, I don't know, if a Gravenberch, a Basuma, someone like that who can come in and allow that rotation for the way Klopp wants to play, I feel like that would help as well. So I just wanted to add that.
No, you're right. And Evan, the last, I want you to have the last say. So is it because you mentioned it, and that's why I want you to have the last say on it. So you mentioned, or you say it's a systematic issue that you have with the slight weaknesses we've shown or deficiencies in a lot of the some of the performances.
Mm-hmm.
So then, are we going back to Jurgen Klopp being a stubborn so-and-so and not realizing that some of the players, like some of the people in the chat are saying, are not capable of, whether it's physically or technically, to play that role? And B, if that's the case, is it, like Conroy says, just a simple matter of bringing people in to evolve with the team who will be able to play that role? Because I think it's a cross between two. I think we absolutely need, because my first thought with my mates that was watching the game with me, I said we have no legs. We lacked legs in that second half. I said the same in a few other games as well, against Spurs as well. We just need more robustness, some more energy, just a freshness of legs. I absolutely get Keith's point that we will see a better version of our midfield, but I still think it's lacking. I'm not in total agreement with Keith that we're going to see the finished article in midfield when I get our players back. I genuinely think even when all 6 or 8 of them are back, I still think 2 or 3 of them have run their course, in my humble opinion, at the level that we aspire to play at, which is City's level. Just wanted your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be an overhaul in midfield in the summer. There definitely needs to be new blood in that position, regardless of how we choose to play going forward, regardless of whether this new philosophy works out or it doesn't. But on that, I will say, I don't let's say we bring in someone who's more suited to the current number 8 position than Henderson is, right? That doesn't mean that doesn't fix the system. You know what I mean? The system would still have the same flaws, whether or not it's Henderson pushing and pressing way too high up and leaving us vulnerable in transition. That would still be there, even if you had someone like Tchouaméni, who's more of a destroyer, more of a disruptor than Henderson is, right? So that would still be there, and I would still have an issue. So I would just like to see a return to what used to work. And I don't see why it wouldn't work anymore, to be honest. But absolutely, we do need some fresh legs. Got a lot of players on the other side of 30. We have a lot of players who are definitely not available enough to be relied upon as squad options. So much of our issues in terms of just chemistry in the midfield has come from just a revolving door of players in those 3 different positions. Fabinho has been close to being a constant there. Henderson's been there, but like I said, he's a poor fit to how we currently play. So it's just been too many different combinations of midfielders combined with an approach that you can make an argument for doesn't fully work. So yeah, it's tough to say what needs to happen next. Is Klopp being too stubborn? Is Klopp being too faithful to players that don't work? I think the players are still there to play a brand of football that used to work not all that long ago. But whether he does or not, I wouldn't hold my breath. I think we're going to persevere with the course that we've set out on. But yeah, I 100% see midfield as the priority in the summer. We definitely need fresh legs.
Yeah, and I don't need to go to Keith on that because he has spoken about sort of that being the key part. We haven't even reached 300 likes, and there's been constantly close to 400. So you guys are embarrassing today, pretty much like that first 20 minutes of that second half. So if you don't want me to cuss you like that, just get over 300 because we're talking about man of the match now, and this is going to be an interesting debate. But before we get onto the man of the match, just one man for me. This might give away the man of the match shouts. Fuck.
I think we might be able to guess this one, Chris.
Yeah, Keith, you're on mute. But,
you might as well kick it off.
Well, we might as well kick it off.
Might as well kick it off.
All right. So listen. Yeah, fuck the man of the match. Man of the match was Alisson for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
If there's anyone who wishes to speak against that, speak now or forever hold your silence.
Listen, Alisson, I have this debate with this guy a lot because he doesn't rate Alisson at all. He tells me Alisson's not world class. Arta, I wonder if he is watching. I'm giving him a shout out because me and him have wars over Alisson, and I keep saying to him that Alisson makes such big and important saves in games where not a lot of you guys are probably watching that game because it's not Chelsea, it's not the Man City.
3 o'clock kickoff, like
exactly. 3 o'clock kickoff against Burnley. You're not watching that.
Yeah.
You're not watching the 90 minutes. You don't see these saves. But Alisson does this for us on such a regular basis, and it's just you said it the best. I remember we had this debate once, and you said, we talk about Alisson coming off his line against West Ham, and you said, Alisson, he needs to continue to do that. He needs to continue to never lose that side of him. It's yet another example of the risk. Liverpool Football Club are willing to take on football pitches, but the rewards are so good because these players are so good, and Alisson is so damn good. He's got the black gear coming back on, the hair is growing, the beard's coming back out. He means business, innit? He means war, man. He means war because he is having he's had a good time of it recently. I believe that's 1 goal conceded in his last 3, 2 in his last 4. 1 in his last 3. I mean, he's just hopefully back to his Imperial's best, but we needed him today. And the quote by Klopp was hilarious when he said, Alisson, you really saved us today. And then he goes, no, man, that's just my job.
That's what I was going to say, Conroy. Of course, he was magnificent. I'm not a goalkeeping expert. That's one area I'll hold my hands up, and I'm not very well. There's many areas that I don't know much about, but goalkeeping is one. But to me, even as a layman, I genuinely can't remember a goalkeeper that intimidates or makes himself look bigger than he actually is, guys. There are physically bigger goalkeepers than him, but none,
for example, was big
guy. None as daunting as this guy. He almost disheartens forwards and attackers. Even the offside ones, when they're through, they can't score. Have you noticed? They don't finish past.
That's why I passed it around the keeper today, Grizz. They passed it. There's no a chance.
But even though we've got this is what we paid for, right? We paid for a fucking game-changing player, and this is what we got when we signed him.
Absolutely. However, guys, I do think it's getting to the point. I'll bring the stats for next week because I never had time today. I want to check the amount of saves he's having to make this season because it's getting to the point now where there's some games, it seems like I think it's too much. I listen, as much as it should be, I think there's too many times where he's having to have worldies. I don't know if you guys agree. Usually keepers who win the league, and I get our tactics and stuff, but I feel like there's too many times where he's had to be man of the match. If we're running for a title, we're chasing a title, I don't think that should be the case. Like, not this often. I mean, even the Brighton game, people forget that Brighton 3 o'clock kickoff game. He made about 4 great, unbelievable saves in that game. It's just, I don't know if you guys disagree. I feel like 10 out of 10 for me, unbelievable goalkeeper. But I think if we had a 8 or a 9, 10 goalkeeper, he wouldn't save some of those chances today. Like that chance when he takes it around the keeper, that's because we've got Alisson. And that's unbelievable. But it's getting to the point now, guys. I'm getting frustrated. Like I feel like we'll criticise and laugh at Manchester United for David De Gea, and Manchester United are obviously in the mud and much worse than us. Like, let's not even clip me up on that. But like, De Gea is having to pull off so many saves, and he's getting credit from that. Now, it's not as much, but are you not feeling a little bit concerned that Alisson's constantly having to pull man of the match performances out? Just wanted to get your thoughts,
Evan.
It is concerning, you know what I mean? Any time the goalkeeper, your goalkeeper is man of the match, it means you didn't play well. Let's be honest. Taking nothing away to how Crystal Palace took the game to us. Again, credit to them. No disrespect intended. Yeah, it's just never a good indication. Ideally, Alisson does absolutely nothing all game, and we stroll to victory. But I am really glad that we have Alisson Becker. I do think on his day, he is top of the pyramid, best in the world. I don't think he's the best at any one given category, but he's great at every category. So that makes, in my opinion, he's the most well-rounded keeper in the world. But in one-on-one scenarios, I do think in that niche, he is the best keeper in the world for that sort of thing. The amount of times a player is clean through on goal and he's able to stifle the situation, it's incredible. The numbers behind it are really just put him so far above everybody else. But I am with Conroy. The more your keeper has to do, it means the more that you should be doing as a team. You know what I mean? It's the same sort of thing with like defenders. You know, am I really supposed to be impressed by how many times Harry Maguire cleared the ball at Leicester? And just, you know, I mean, is that why you should spend 80 million on Harry Maguire? No, it's not. But, you know, and so I'm equally unimpressed by how many saves a keeper has to make. It just means his team in front of him probably wasn't playing that well. But as an individual, yeah, tip your hat to him. But yeah, this team, I'm not sure where we would be without Alisson this season. So many games, less so in the last month, but so many games he's gotten us the win, or at the very least prevented us from losing.
Red Sai wants to take you up both on that, and he says, how many times did Ali actually get man of the match? Not many. His performances are positive, not good negative.
But he's had a lot of games where he's had to make several important saves. Not necessarily man of the match, but like there is. Come on, let's be honest, guys. Would you all agree? There's been quite a few this season.
Oh, me, like, you want my opinion on that?
Yeah,
of course. You're part of the REDFELLAS, brother.
Sorry, no. I think Liverpool have kept 15 clean sheets this season. Only Edison has more clean sheets than Alisson with 10. So, as much as I appreciate and I agree that situations happen in our box far more often than they did in the title-winning season. Absolutely, 100%. There's no arguing that. But I still think that we're still not bad in getting the job done and not conceding goals. You know, our goal difference is remarkable. It's incredible. And yes, we are the top goal scorers in the league, but we still get the job done. And you know what? If so be it that Alisson needs to win us the points, then so be it, because that is what he's supposed to do. You are supposed to be one of the leaders of the team. You're part of the spine, and sometimes stuff's not going to happen. So in those situations, that is where he gets the opportunity to step up, and we need him in games like this, because not every game's going to go where we're going to be able to breeze past teams and not concede a goal and stuff like that. There are going to be times when Elise is going to have a great game, we're going to have brain farts, and that is with Alisson coming up in those situations, because, you know, controversially, Alisson has also had situations where the strikers could turn around to Alisson and say, well, fucking hell, Alisson, we just scored 2 goals here, and you've made a mistake. He's had made mistakes. Look at the game against Spurs, for example, you know, West Ham. You know, so it works both ways kind of thing. So I'm glad it was him that gave his contribution today, because we needed it. We absolutely needed it.
That's fair enough.
Someone says he agrees with Conroy. We aren't United. Their fans are okay with De Gea bailing them out for a decade. Performances matter to us. We aren't like the Manx. And obviously, there's always balance of opinion, nothing to worry about. And Some
I just wanted to raise it, guys. It wasn't necessarily.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point.
Thought.
It's a valid point that you make. Just wanted to read out a couple of super chats that people are putting in. Rapstar, welcome to the chat, my friend. He says, Grizz, I need some good news. Is Fabio groundwork being done for the summer? How confident are you that we'll get him? Fabio Cannavaro. Yeah. Fabio Cannavaro. Fabio Cannavaro.
That'd be funny. Is that not?
It's
Carvalho. Cannavaro is one of the is the.
No, I know what Cannavaro is, but I was thinking he's got a brother, but it's not. He is that Fabio Cannavaro as well.
Carvalho, Fulham youngster, fantastic little player, cross between, I don't know, Coutinho and.
Scored yesterday as well, didn't he, Grizz?
Plays in the 10. I just think I don't know again where we would play him in our team. A, because of the development of Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones, and B, he does seem to favour this role as a number 10, and Klopp doesn't really play with a number 10. He prefers a floaty 8. But yeah, very good player. I wouldn't say no to him. I wouldn't really. He wouldn't be at the top of any list or anything like that. He's a young investment, but we 100% want him. He's one of the many players, the youngsters that we looked at. Saleh, welcome to the chat, brother. He says McGinn, Renato, and Shumeni are all options. Shumeni is clear on that list, my brother. Shumeni is absolutely clear on that list, even though I've got a lot of time for McGinn, as people know.
Yeah. It's Renato, the money it would cost to get McGinn, Grizz. That's the thing. He'd be great. He'd be very effective, but the money you're going to pay, you'd be better going for what you said. Shumeni. I'll probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to see in the chat if there's anything else that's been raised, guys, that we want to touch upon before we wrap it up. People are saying.
Can I read something quickly, Chris?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
The usual Andy Robertson big up. I'm not going to spend too much on it, but just a stats thing today. Andy Robertson's now joint Scottish assister in the Premier League level with Gary McAllister, like in the Premier League, not just Liverpool, and that's 8 assists in 8 games now. So someone was watching a stream earlier, and someone says, and he got 2 assists today. Someone went, he's trying to catch Leighton Baines today, just like really going for it. But it was brilliant.
No, but he was insane in that first half, and even the last couple of games. He looks back to his best, and we've spoken about Trent. Sometimes we underplay Robertson as a collective, as a duo. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. People often talk about the Cafu and Carlos combination, the great Brazilian combination. Guys, don't sleep on Robertson and Trent, man. We're going to be talking about this combination for years and years and years to come. Just because they may not have the glamorous names like Carlos and Cafu and glamorous teams and the era of Brazil and the golden age of Brazil football and the Nike adverts and that era that sort of glorified them for what they were and everything. Do you remember the Nike adverts? They were superb, weren't they? They were brilliant adverts. Guys,
Joga Benito.
Yeah, Joga Benito. Robertson and Trent will go down.
But you've not seen Trent's right foot though. That's like a golfing wedge. That's what he's got he's got all the clubs out. Which one do you want? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And look, this is one of the things that we're gonna talk upon. Let's finish this up on. Do you think there's still a title chance, Grizz? And Grizz doesn't want to answer this because I've got 3 amazingly knowledgeable people that are going to give a better opinion than me. And I'm going to start off with Evan. All we ask for as Liverpool fans is keep going, stay in the title race, stay for the fight, stay for the count. And that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, and City drawing with Southampton at the very least keeps these Premier League games interesting. My stance really hasn't changed since last week, though. My head's still more in Europe, but yeah, at the very least, it's remaining interesting. It's keeping the league games, one eye on them, definitely.
Mr. Big K,
bro, we have lost 2 football matches this season. I believe 2 football matches, right? 1, 2, 2 in all competitions this season. Just putting that into perspective, Liverpool are more than capable of going on a winning run. We're already on a winning run now, 3 wins in a row. There is nothing to suggest that when Liverpool come back, they cannot go on a winning run similar to City and put that type of pressure. I absolutely believe that to be the case. So nothing is won in January. It surprises me that so many people are like writing these monologues, because Liverpool have given up the title a couple of times in that situation. Yes, it's Man City. Yes, they are just as good and at times better than us. Yes, I agree with that. However, Manchester City is still glitch, and Manchester City glitched on Saturday, and Manchester City will glitch again, and we still have to go to the Etihad, and we still have a game in hand. I don't see. Look, as I said before, you can say that I'm like OTT or whatever. You cannot tell me that a football club who plays at the highest level that Liverpool have done, that's the league, the Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, with everything that's happened, to go and only lose 2 football matches all season, like that for me shows that these boys are willing to get something out of everything. So we have players that have won leagues, won Champions League, and have the know-how to do it. I don't see us not chasing Man City till the bitter end. And what will be, will be. But the most important thing is it's there. You know, you really like look behind us. Look at that nasty top 4, that top 4 battle down there. We used to be in that. We got past Arsenal by 1 point that summer. Never forget, it could have been Arsenal. Things could have been different, right? We've been in there, and we're not there anymore. We're here talking about big situations. And to go into this 2-week break in what we've just done is testament to these boys and the mentality of these players. It's crazy to do what we did without our 2 best players in COVID situations and this, that, and the other. To pull this off, like the second half of the season is going to be really interesting. Let me put it that way. But the title is not over by a long shot.
Yeah, it was vital win today, Keith. Absolutely huge win today, because if you don't win that, you'd break. I'm not saying it's over, but it's like my thoughts are kind of like Evan. I still think City have got too much. However, I'm not saying it's completely done yet. But if you don't win today, I would probably say a good chance, because psychologically, that break waiting to come back, now they can look at, we'll get Salah, get Mane back, get Keita back, focus on this charge. It's going to be really interesting to see how City get on, because usually, Keith, come on, we do credit City a lot. We're quite good at that on this channel, as they go on a big run. It's going to be really interesting in the next 3 games for City. If we see if it's maybe affecting them, if there's a little bit of pressure on them, and then that can give us the chance, as you said, Etihad, it can allow us something. It's a glimmer of hope today, but I think it's great. I hate football breaks, but I think it's very good that there's a break after today. Allow us to reset and get back in it when we come back.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a break now, isn't there? Is it FA Cup weekend next week? No, it's just blank weekend, right?
Internationals, like it's like
Brazilians
South
playing
American international. Yeah.
So the week we come back is the FA Cup weekend.
Cardiff, yeah.
Cardiff.
So it's an extended break possibly, because I can imagine a lot of our players won't even play in that either, unless it's the likes of guys. Will the AFCON lads be back?
Yeah, 6th of Feb. It's 6th of Feb. Everything's
so maybe if they want to give a run out to the likes of Naby, maybe hopefully Thiago, fingers crossed, and the likes.
So I just got to say, it's just one of those situations that you just come out and it's just, all of a sudden, like the sun is shining, you know what I'm saying? Like we come through this like dark woods of uncertainty about, are we going to get through with Salah, Mane? And now it's all over, boys. 6th of Feb, Cardiff, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Naby Keita back.
Amazing feeling. Dinesh with a super chat. Finally, I wanted to save this till the end. Grizz will always support your channel. Me and Avi are cool. He DM'd me personally. He apologized to me. He said it's cool. He of the moment, not worth falling out. Respect to you both, brothers. That's what we're about. Love and respect on this channel. Jashar, I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry. Jashar says you're sleeping on Nickel and Beglin, Neil and Kennedy. If I'm saying that's before my time, even. Then these kids don't stand a chance. So
remember it like it was yesterday.
Do you know what I mean? So
we did talk about this. We said Steve Nicol as a pundit was much better as a footballer.
Oh yeah, fucking awful pundit. Even if I've blown my chance of getting him on my channel, so be it. I beg your pardon. We can't leave without.
Shout out to the chat as well, Grizz. Sorry, Moto Sarali is saying AFCON final is 6th of Feb. So I think we'd maybe miss, if any, of Mane or Salah in the final. Keita as well, but I don't know if Keita's been put out yet. That's my fault. I've not checked today.
Keith? We can't leave without.
Oh, what a question! Okay, so I'm going for Roman Reigns to win the Royal Rumble and challenge Brock Lesnar, but Roman Reigns to drop the belt.
Is this one fight or is this weekly thing? Because I'm getting pissed off with these questions. Like, they seem to be like, how does this work? Is there a
kind of wish I was involved now? It sounds exciting every week.
WWE, so wrestling, there is no off season in it in wrestling. Like wrestling,
so every week they got
every week they got shows, then they got pay-per-views, then they got shows, then they got pay-per-views. It's like EastEnders, and then like you get the EastEnders special on Saturday for the hour special. Do you know what I mean? That's the pay-per-view. So yeah,
well, it's kind of Sunday night SmackDown. Is that like Raw is a Monday night?
Yeah,
Sunday
Raw
night.
Mondays, Thursday SmackDown.
It's kind of like football, Grizz. It never really ends. You know what I mean? It just keeps going and going.
That's so true, mate. So true.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it ends soon because this is like these questions are like annoying the shit out of me. But out of respect, I have to ask Keith because Mustafa is one of our best moderators. Absolutely massive shout out to Mustafa. So I always have to let his question come up, and obviously Keith's the go-to man.
It makes my day. Thank you.
Grizz wins the Rumbles.
People are asking who would win the Royal Rumble out of us. Like, come on, man. There's no question. Big K, my God. Yeah. My God, the size of him. Like,
wouldn't even show up. We wouldn't even show up.
I'll tell you what would be more realistic if all three of us went up against him. Do you know what I mean? That would be more realistic.
I still think he'd win, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. But guys, we've come to an end of another amazing show. Even though I say myself because I've enjoyed it. Hosting you guys is an absolute pleasure. Chatting to the people in the chat is an absolute pleasure. You guys are diamonds. Liverpool continue to fight another day. The war goes on. We've won a small battle, a vital battle today. But the war hasn't been won yet, and we're still in there fighting. Conrad, hit me with that intro, outro, whatever you call it, and we out of here. Take care, people.